Sickos Club.
Sickos Club.
Yeah. Hey, come here. You like pro wrestling? We got a little something for you. Two fans, 3,000 miles away. We each been watching for more than 30 years. Celebrate the art form, the action, the homoeroticism. We ain't rating matches. We ain't analyzing stories. We ain't experts. We just sit down, shut up, and mark out! What's up, everybody? It is Blade Daily coming at you with another edition of Sit Down, Shut Up, Mark Out, a pro wrestling podcast about pro wrestling. Once again, I am joined by my co-host, the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be, the greatest Canadian pro wrestling podcaster in the history of Canadian pro wrestling podcasts, Joshi G. Joshi G, hello!
Hi, Blade.
How you doing?
I'm doing okay, but I do have to say something before we continue. I listened to your review of All Out.
Yeah.
What the heck, man? Again? Hardly any mention of Don Callis?
I had a whole little piece where I made sure to mention him because I realized I hadn't mentioned him enough up until that point.
You know, this is becoming a pattern, and Uncle Don is the most entertaining person in professional wrestling right now. Why didn't you talk about him more? I don't understand.
Do I have to say like he's the most entertaining person in wrestling?
Well, it's not just that. He was killing it at All Out. I mean,
he did, and I said so.
You know what? Maybe it's because I listened to 1 hour the other day and the rest today, and I didn't hear enough about Don today, so I'm just generalizing now. Maybe that's on me, but you know, if you're going to do like a 2-hour review of a show, at least mention Don once an hour, I believe. I mean, I think that's fair.
Yeah, no, I think a certain amount of time went by and I realized I hadn't mentioned Don, and then I mentioned him and then I didn't mention him again. So put it on me. Just tell Don it's my bad. And I'm sure everything will be fine. Right?
I don't want to get into a fight with him again.
You are like a physical fight? Are you guys doing like fucking swords and shit or what?
Well, you know, my husband Joshi J is here. He can provide some feedback and input on that, right? How does Uncle Don treat me when I don't mention him enough?
I have no idea what the hell she's talking about. I believe this has been going on for weeks, and I just say she talks like about him all the time, like he's part of her Italian family. But I don't know. I'm not seeing it so far. I've met about 10 Vitos in her family, but not one Don Callis, not yet. Not anyway. I'm starting to doubt it, but who knows? Maybe he'll turn up somewhere later. I don't know. Everybody turns up in Montreal eventually, I suppose, you know. And it doesn't always end well. Ask Bret Hart. Oh, my goodness. It is not always a good ending for everyone that comes here, that's for sure. I hope Don Callis stays far away.
Well, thanks for not backing me up at all, even though you...
All right. Anyway, Joshi, I did want to comment briefly, just you've taken to wearing a bald cap with the scar on it lately.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
What, do you want to talk about anything? Like you
I
getting the
look
help
like
you need?
Don Callis. We have the same genes. What am I doing wrong? This is just me evolving into my uncle's niece. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I'm just going through this really amazing transformation. I'm painting a lot.
Yeah.
I speak a lot of Spanish too, so.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, do you think it's as good as Don's?
Oh, nobody's is as good as Don. Los perros son muy caliente.
Wow. That was inspiring. What you just spoke right there. That was Spanish, right? Not German?
It was Spanish.
Okay. I don't speak German or Spanish, so I was just confused. All right, everybody. Welcome to the show. We are so happy to be together. Joshi J, you haven't been on the show for a minute.
I know, man. I've been missing it. I've been all right. AEW has been big, and I know you're going to get into that later. This is a pretty special time for AEW and a very big part of the year. It always has been since it launched, and now with the women's tag belts and all this other good stuff that they got going on. I mean, I think they're turning another corner. I think we're gonna see the women on TV a lot more. And yeah, I can't wait to get into that later on in the show. We'll talk about how we think these new belts are going to affect the product moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Joshi, you must have been pretty fucking stoked. But before we get into all that, these episodes are fun when you get to mostly just be happy about what's going on. And I can't say
Kumbaya.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I can't say I have much to complain about. However, I do have something we should remark upon. And that is the stupidity of one diminutive Gail Kim. Joshi G, why don't you weigh in on this and talk about it a little bit?
First off, I think Canadians need to stop moving to Florida.
That's true.
I don't know, something about Florida damages their brains.
Yes.
So Gail Kim, she basically said that she watched some of Riho's matches. Apparently, someone pointed out on Discord that she watched only like one of her matches. But anyway, that was enough for her to determine that when it comes to wrestling, Riho is not a believable competitor. And she also called Riho a little girl.
Right.
So these are my problems with what she said. One, who was Gail Kim's most famous rival?
It was Awesome Kong.
Exactly. Now, if we're not going to suspend disbelief and we're going to take wrestling seriously like a sport, would Gail have any chance of beating Awesome Kong?
Zero.
In real life? Exactly. So I thought that was just such an idiotic thing to say coming from her.
Yes. I mean, I think we saw, I mean, anyone that was following this story on social media when she said it, you must have seen about 100 damn pictures of Awesome Kong and Gail Kim. I mean, and for some point, though, you have to understand, it wasn't just limited to that rivalry. Gail Kim looked pretty tiny compared to just about everybody she wrestled in TNA.
Right.
And I mean, nobody cared. I mean, no TNA, nobody that was into the knockouts division used her, size as a negative to suspend disbelief. And it was never like she was, I mean, it may have been what held her back in WWE. I don't know the details of it. I know she was disgruntled. And I know it seems like, as Kenny Omega pointed out on social media, it seems like she's, how do you say it, doing the splits on it for the TKO gift basket. I don't know. And I mean, you can make with that if you want, but I'm not going to argue with him. I mean.
Yeah. Well, and I think, Gail's about 3 inches taller than Rio and maybe 10 pounds heavier.
Oh my God.
Yeah, exactly.
What a giant, right?
Well, and Gail had a massive undefeated streak in TNA, where she was unbeaten for like almost a year. I mean, it was a really long time. So
she was the knockouts division, man. Like at first, anyway.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah, she didn't just beat out, she beat everyone. And, she was made to be a lot more kind of invincible than Rio's ever been made to look. Rio's done business with a lot of people. She was pushed strongly. The thing I found kind of disturbing was that she was remarking on the camera shots up the skirt. And it's like, she wears shorts underneath her skirt.
So I blame.
ODB didn't do the same damn thing. I mean, who cares?
Yeah,
it's wrestling. Fuck it.
Well, that's the thing. So commenting on the way that, she dresses and the camera shots and all that, and saying that Riho is a little girl. Rio's 28 years old, for crying out loud. Why are you belittling her like that? It's not right to call a grown-ass woman a little girl. Like, how would you feel if someone said, "Hey, Blade," or "Hey, Joshi J, you're a little boy"? That's, come on. It's not funny. It's stupid. It's
Could
an
it be
insult.
the nepotism? Could it be nepotism? Is that maybe where maybe Gail's opinion is coming from? Does she maybe look at Rio as kind of being a little buddy with Kenny, and that's maybe maybe that's what Gail's actually trying to dunk on. I want to think that maybe it has something to do with how Rio got her start in AEW, and it's just not coming out that way. But whatever, it sounds stupid regardless. And I was really surprised to Gail of all people, someone that I think any fan of women's wrestling had enormous respect for in the 2000s, man. And it's a shame, but what can you do? We're AEW fans with or without fucking Gail Kim.
That's right. I think a lot of us wanted her to work in AEW when she was let go by TNA. So, what's the good news in all of this is, Gail's comments were obviously pointed, and I don't think she said that shit on accident or something.
No,
I don't think it was just she misspoke. I think it was intended to be kind of pointed. She kind of, I don't know, accused Kenny of being, beating around the bush or whatever. The thing is, this is the only really somewhat negative thing we have to discuss today. Everything else is a barrel of laughs, a barrel of monkeys.
I just wanted to say one last thing. Riho has been bullied a lot on the internet, okay? And this all started because of Jim Cornette. So Gail Kim backing up anything that Jim Cornette is just really unfortunate. And especially considering she's also from Asia. It's like, East Asia. It's like, what the hell are you doing? And you're a woman. And you're supposed to be for all women in wrestling. Very disappointing. But also, it's just, how many times has Riho heard that she's too small? That she dresses a certain way that people don't like? It's like, Kenny Omega has already said that Riho had to leave social media because the bullying got out of hand. So I just wish that people would take that into consideration and just leave her alone. That's all.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's just, it was just a stupid thing to have caused in the first place, and then to not apologize and just end it, and to instead double down. And, it's so easy for me to trigger AEW fans. It's like, you sound like Disco Inferno. Like,
yeah, right.
Is that a comparison that you're comfortable
Val
with?
Venus or one of them, man.
Oh God, Stevie Richards.
Well, and from straight out of the Bully Ray school of zero self-awareness, like, I'm going to criticize somebody who's doing the same thing I did and made my entire career on, and then act like for some reason it's wrong that they're doing it. I mean, that's right out of the Bully Ray playbook. But what's not out of the Bully Ray playbook is what comes next, because we're talking about women in AEW today, folks. Okie dokie. We are back. And Joshi G. People who've listened to this show over the year and a half that we've been doing it know we've had quite strong opinions about how the women are featured or not in AEW. And now I felt like this last episode of Dynamite might have been kind of a landmark episode, because not only did we get the introduction of women's tag team titles, which we will be talking about, but the way that two pivotal women to that division were portrayed was very different than I feel most women have been portrayed in AEW, and it was a very positive thing. Do you agree?
Absolutely. I agree. I mean, I did not expect Willow to be involved in this segment at all. That was a really cool surprise, and she didn't back down. She wasn't scared of that weasel Stokely Hathaway.
Right.
I mean, she slapped him really hard.
Yes. So let's set it up for anybody who might not have seen it. FTR came out. Basically, they did a stuck pile driver to Beth Copeland after they lost to Christian and Cope at All Out. Fantastic show. And they came out and proceeded to blame Adam Copeland for why they did it. That they would never hit a woman. They would never put their hands on a woman. I thought their excuses for why they did it were kind of hilarious. Like, I was blinded for a minute and, I got punched in my nose by Beth and then I couldn't see. My eyes were watering and I thought I was grabbing Adam Copeland. Like, you couldn't tell the difference between grabbing like this grown man that you had been grabbing for like 20 minutes before that and a woman. So it was ridiculous in the first place, their excuses. And then, it starts to get a little more pointed as the promo goes along where he says, I would never hit a woman. And Beth, when I'm talking about you, I use that term pretty loosely. Oh. And yeah. And then Stokely gets on the mic and just stirs up a bunch of shit. They're getting all kinds of heat. The crowd is pissed. This was a great crowd, by the way. I thought Pittsburgh really brought it. Very unexpectedly, Willow Nightingale's music hits. And you're just kind of wondering what the hell's going to happen here. Joshi J, what are you thinking when this is all going down?
I mean, with Willow, you can't really... I got to say, I wasn't... if ever in denial of her opposing these people. I can tell you that. I kind of knew that she was coming out to give them some hell. But it did surprise me was how powerful those words hit, man, when she went late into them. Said that when she defended Beth.
Yeah, she said, so she kind of said, your apology is bullshit. It's insincere. Yeah. Maybe you should try it again. Because here's what Beth Copeland means to me. And she said, went on about what a legend she is. She's a Hall of Famer. Right. And then she says, women like Beth are the reason women like me don't take shit from men like you.
That's it.
Blew me the fuck away.
Lashed into his ass. I loved it, man. Loved it.
She made them look like children. And
she did.
And that is like, look, if you're going to put sexism in an angle, okay, this is how you do it. Like, it's not MJF and Jeff Jarrett calling each other's spouses, whatever terrible thing they're going to call them. It's bringing a strong woman out to put these fuckers in their place immediately. In today's world, that feels like the right thing to do. Joshi G, how did you feel about it?
I felt really good about it. Just seeing a woman come out and get involved with the men like that was really cool. It's not something that we see regularly. We did see it with Kris a bit with Death Riders, but Willow has really been involved in this story recently. And I'm hoping that this leads to Willow teaming up with Jet Speed against FTR. And I don't know which woman it would be, honestly. I don't know who they would choose. So that could be interesting. But I'm hoping it leads to a mixed trios tag match. And I would like to see Willow featured as a main character more frequently, because she is really good at it. And, we have discussed how, I'd say in 2025, the woman that Tony has centered the shows around really are Tony and Mercedes. And now to see Willow involved with one of the best tag teams in the world, one of the most featured acts in AEW, means that they actually believe that she's a main act. And that's really great to see. We needed to see more women get there, and we're finally seeing it. And so I'm really thrilled about it. And we've discussed this before, iBlade, where we said Kris and Willow are the next two women that you need to basically elevate to the Mercedes and Tony Storm level. Yeah. And it seems like it's finally happening.
That was what I was thinking too, is it really was like, this is a pivotal moment for Willow where she stands up to these dudes And it adds an edge to her character, you know, because I think sometimes with the Willow character, you can run the risk of making her like too cheery and positive when it doesn't make sense to be. And she has walked that line very well. She's cut other really good promos before. You know, I was in attendance when her and Mercedes did their contract signing. That was super good. But this just felt like you're writing women the right way. And that really felt cool to see, because I think with AEW sometimes they haven't always gotten it right, and this is the right way to do it. And that line was just killer, like you said, Joshi J.
Yes, sir.
So you know they've been kind of, you know, we had complained on a previous episode that they've been kind of like soft shoeing this Willow and Stat story. Who turned Stat against Willow? It was Stokely Hathaway.
Exactly.
So it makes perfect sense that Willow would come out and you know, she's got unfinished business with this asshole. But that wasn't the only big news for the women in AEW this episode. And I got to say, I think we saw the biggest moment in Kris Statlander's career on this episode.
Yeah, it's very close. You're right. It may have eclipsed her world title win. I mean, it's really close, because that was a damn good segment with her.
Yes. So Kris Statlander's main eventing the show, another, you know, welcome surprise. What main eventing with the Women's World Championship, defending it against Mina Shirakawa. I just rewatched this match. These two were fantastic together. Joshi G, how did you feel about the match itself?
I thought it was a terrific match. Mina is a really good freaking wrestler.
Man.
Like I said before, she's not all looks and charisma and big boobs. She's actually a really, really good wrestler. Like one of the best female wrestlers in AEW at the moment.
Yes.
And Kris Statlander, I mean, listen, Joshi J and I, we first saw her in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
She was part of an indie show. Totally blew us away. We knew that she was going to be an amazing talent.
She was a replacement on that show. She wasn't even booked on it. It was Captain Kimberly, I think it was. Didn't show
versus,
up.
Mercedes Martinez, I think.
Yeah, and they booked her. Yeah, and they booked her at the last minute, got her on the show, and I mean, she stole the show. Everybody in there was trying to get her autograph after, because she can't. I don't think anyone in the Ottawa area was really that familiar with her yet. They are now. Yeah, that's for damn sure. So I was happy to see that.
So when it comes to Kris, we know how good she is. She's been consistently great in AEW for so long. And it was actually really cool considering that Kris is a lot bigger than Mina. It was really cool to see how Mina was able to counter so many of Kris's moves. I thought that was really neat. They gave each other a lot. They had great chemistry. Absolutely great chemistry. Yeah, like I was actually really surprised that Kris won the way she did again. So with the mousetrap, pin that Wheeler Yuta uses. So then I was like, what does this mean? Type of thing.
Right.
And then, of course, even before the match started, Wheeler Yuta came out and was talking to Kris. So he has been doing this all the freaking time.
Right.
And it's been aggravating me because I'm like, you weird ass stalker, like leave Kris alone. And she doesn't want him there. She's telling him, would you go away? It's like, you're clearly annoying her. You don't get the message, Yeah. And then after the match, so when Kris wins, I did not expect all of the Death Riders to come out.
No, I did not expect this angle, this thing they've been teasing to kind of resolve itself in one segment, but it did, and it was expertly pulled off. Like, Yuta came out, like you said, before the match to advise Stat, which, what is he doing? Just telling her, like, use the mousetrap again. You're like, I mean, at this point, what else does he have to say? Because, Stat is wrestling like the old school conventional world champion, just like Hangman also is, which is your opponent gets most of the stuff in the match. And Mina got to be featured in this match, got to be shown as being on Kris's level before she's defeated with the mousetrap again. After the match, Yuta gets in the ring and raises her hand. Harley Cameron had run down to celebrate with Stat. Harley's looking kind of despondent, looking like a little bit like, what the hell is this? What do we do? Then, you see Claudio, Pac, Daniel Garcia. And then the music hits and Mox and Marina come out of this red lit like tunnel thing. Yuta raises her arm, and he hugs Stat. And Stat gives him a very like uncomfortable looking hug back, right? And he raises her arm and he's like, yeah. And then he's like, why aren't you happy? Because her eyes look so sad. Mm-hmm. She looks kind of like dead inside. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And then she clotheslines the living shit out of Yuta. And Mox has the like NXT, like, what? He kicked out at 2? Look on his face. And she runs right into Mox's face and gives him a double bird before running with Harley into the audience and going up the aisle. That shot of her in the crowd with the belt, flipping them off, that's a lasting shot that will remain when people think of Kris Statlander. I think, Joshi J, you kind of said it yourself. I think this was the biggest moment of her career in the sense that her title win was such a shock. You know what I mean? It was like, what the fuck just happened? What the... And this one was like, this told you who she is, right? This told you who this character is going to be going forward. And that Harley's had her back and she defended Harley and ran off. Then, as if the moment can't get any bigger, Darby Allin's music hits. Joshi G, I got to take my brief little victory lap. I said before All Out that I thought this would go 2 matches with Darby and Mox. Mox had, with a lot of bullshit, defeated Darby in a coffin match at All Out. And Darby comes out with a flamethrower. He had set fire to Mox at All Out. The only thing that I found slightly a stretch was that Mox wouldn't, be like more bandaged up or fucked up from being set on fire. But whatever. And Darby just tells him, I want an I Quit match at Wrestle Dream, which Mox agrees to after Dynamite goes off the air. It's important, but the most important thing, Joshi G, is that AEW seems to be pushing Kris Statlander to the moon, which is absolutely the right decision. I think you probably agree.
Of course. I love Kris Statlander. And one thing that kept coming up was, how is Kris going to live up to Toni Storm? Toni Storm was great on the mic. She was good at everything. Kris Statlander, in terms of like mic skills, she's not the best. And there was concern about that, right? And after her match, well, first off, when she freaking beat up Yuta, essentially, I celebrated because, he needs to leave her the fuck alone. But then when she got in Mox's face and flipped him off and showed absolutely no fear, I said, that's our freaking champion. She doesn't need to be like Toni Storm. She doesn't need to be the freaking best on the microphone. She needs to be a fighting champion that's not scared of anybody, that's willing to take on men as well. That's fine. We don't need a champion that excels on the mic. She's freaking Stone Cold Kris Statlander. That's what I'm calling her now. And honestly, I wanted her to flip people off every freaking week. So to me, any kind of concern that I feel people had about Stat not living up to Toni and all that, it's like, this isn't Toni. This is Kris Statlander, a freaking badass that isn't scared, that is going to freaking defend that belt regularly. And I think she proved that she deserves that belt and that she is going to carry that women's division forward very freaking well.
Joshi J, did you get that same feeling?
I mean, I think this was a recurring theme throughout this particular episode. I mean, you had what you had with Willow, standing up for women, not taking shit from people like him. And then you had this segment, double middle fingers to Moxley's face. And then, you had the women's tag titles. They came later. I think that this was a I think all of this kind of wrapped together into a common theme for this episode of Dynamite. I think
Yes.
people who love women's wrestling were marking hard for this freaking episode, and rightfully so. And I mean, yeah, I think I think they'd all tie together nicely. And Statlander's the fingers of Moxley's face. I mean, it is gonna be it's gonna be a similar image to Stone Cold with the blood running down his face at WrestleMania 13. You know, it's gonna be one of those images that's like has a message behind it. It's like it frames an entire attitude, and I think that's what they were wanting to get, the direction they're trying to go with the AEW women's division right now, because it's stronger now than it's been ever.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, I think this was a good trumpet to blow on this particular episode. And as Statlander, yeah, she's the real deal. It's a real deal. I mean, I'm proud that we're like OG Statlander fans, going all the way back to freaking Ottawa, like we were saying earlier. I mean, but like even Mina, though, I think that it needs to be pointed out, where she was just a year and a half ago, she cut a promo in English on this same episode of Dynamite. She has come a long way, and I don't think that should be overlooked here. I mean, main eventing Dynamite and everything. I mean, Mina has come she's come really far in a very short period of time with AEW.
Absolutely.
And Stardom to their credit as well. I mean, it's been a wild ride for both of these women, for sure, over the last few years.
Mina has, after that match with Athena, and, some of the other times I've seen her wrestle in AEW, I've been like, Mina could be a future world champion. Like, I don't see any reason she couldn't be. Like, she is fantastic. And you're right.
Yeah.
Her in-ring has evolved so much in such a short period of time.
Yeah.
Since I first saw her, it's like, and she had been wrestling for a while up to that point, but she knew what she wanted, which was to be a star in America, and she's going to be. She's a big deal. Harley Cameron, also another person who's going to be a big deal, who I think they have in the exact right place, where it's like she's involved in important things, but they're not making her the world champion.
Dude, the best thing about Harley is they just put her anywhere. You could put her in any scene, just kind of like right there in the background or something, and she could just be standing behind anyone, just like kind of standing there, like looking all funny and stuff. And she grabs attention. And I mean, like, then whenever it's finally her turn to talk, it's already like singed into her energy, and she just rolls with it. I mean, she has a very, very unique gift as an entertainer, on like especially vocally. I think that she's gonna be it's only gonna evolve with her, for sure.
She has
Absolutely.
perfect comedic timing.
She does,
and that's really hard to sustain. But somehow she does it every freaking time she's on TV. She makes us laugh. There's never a moment with Harley where I don't laugh. And like Joshi J said, it doesn't have to be something that she said. It could just be the face that she's making. She's just a really funny girl. Either you have it or you don't, type of thing.
Yeah,
she's like a Jim Carrey type of presence in any promo she participates in. Whether she's the one talking or not, she's going to be the one you're looking at. I mean,
she just chews up any scene she's in. Yeah, she's incredible.
Sure. Big ups for Harley.
Yeah, it was during the All Out promo where the conglomeration was, obviously hinting that Orange Cassidy was going to come back, which he did this episode. We're not even talking about that, but he did return this episode. And everybody does the thumbs up, and then they all walk off, and Harley's like staring at her thumb, and then she starts putting it in her mouth.
Yeah. It's just like, why are you doing that? Like, we just don't understand her.
I mean, she's fucking great, man. She's fucking great. Now, by any traditional measure of a Dynamite, what we've talked about already would be the extent of the women's involvement in the show, but they kept it rolling. This would have been almost a historic amount of attention for a women's presence on a show. But they kept rolling because Tony Khan had an important announcement. And he made it. Anyone who's listened to our show, as we've said, knows how hard we've pushed for more women on TV. We've recently been talking about how could you get more women on TV, and you need more titles for women to defend, right? Yeah. And people have even sometimes been annoyed by how much we talk about it. They said, if we're just patient, it's going to happen. And I am here to say, I am not saying we're the reason any of this happened. We are one of many voices that wanted this. But being quiet and just waiting your turn is not exactly how you create change, much less as a consumer, okay? Like, Tony Khan wants your attention. Tell him what you want, which is what we've been doing relentlessly on this show for the entire time. And this week, Tony Khan officially announced the creation of the AEW women's tag titles. I think they're probably still putting together the final teams because he didn't say exactly when the tournament would happen, other than very soon. But this is just this was a lot of people lobbying for this. Tons of fans were. And it feels like a landmark moment in AEW history. Joshi G, what did this feel like for you?
It felt like I was finally being listened to. It felt like a really monumental moment because although we would see the, just women constantly in tag matches and whatnot, there really wasn't any indicator that tag belts were coming until we saw that report where they had mentioned, yes, okay, tag belts have been created, but then you never know, right? I mean, that's just a report. Tony could have changed his mind and decided, you know what, screw that. We don't need those belts, right? So, I mean, until you actually hear it from the big boss, you're always kind of skeptical, right? So on Wednesday, it was just so reassuring to me that Tony is willing to give the woman more time because he has no choice. I mean, you created women's tag belts. There's no way you can't give the woman more time, right? And if you're going to, have the Mercedes Moné or whoever the AEW Women's World Champion is in these like really long freaking title reigns, the other women have to fight over something. You can't just keep putting them in these like tag matches, multi-tag matches, and nothing comes out of it. So finally it feels like, okay, you know what? All those matches that we've been watching the past couple of months, that is, those meant something. Now they're leading to something really big for all these ladies. And we've seen that there are some established tag teams. I mean, you've got Anna Jay and Ty Mello, probably the first ever women's tag team in AEW. I mean, I would actually love it if they won the tag belts just because they were actually the first tag team. You've got Penelope and Megan Bayne. They're clearly an established tag team. And there are so many other tag teams that you can form. And I mean, another great team that I would really love to see in AEW would be Sherry and Sheeta.
Yeah.
Now, they did team up in Oz Academy. It has to happen in AEW. I know that Sheeta really wants it. Sherry did appear in AEW at All In. So, I mean, if those two could be part of this freaking tag team division, holy crap. They would just elevate that division. They would bring it to another level. And of course, there's like, just trying to think of
Siri would elevate anything she's a part of. Oh my God.
Yes.
Says Siri, I don't think there's anyone in AEW I'm looking more forward to than Siri. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Like, she is the best women's wrestler on the planet. I love Mercedes too, but Siri is the real deal. And I mean, this is going to be a perfect opportunity, like Joshi G said, to really get her started hot in AEW without running over anyone too high up, like not knocking over anyone's title reign right off the bat, but still like getting gold on her, getting her like getting stuff on her resume in AEW. You know what I'm saying? But
Sure.
I think
Yeah.
that that's what this AEW tag, the women's tag belts, are going to do for a lot of the women's wrestlers in the company. Is it's as a freight forwarder, I look at it like logistics and stuff. What direction the pushes are going? You're going to have people that are going to have long title reigns, like we've been seeing, like with Tony Storm and Mercedes. But now you're going to have other opportunities, a valid opportunity to have these tag matches, to put 4 women in a match, maybe 5 or 6 if you have somebody outside the ring. You know what I mean? It gives a great opportunity to put more people on the show. And then when you want to roll the dice on someone, maybe it's not right to say rolling the dice on someone like Statlander, but giving the belt to somebody new that you haven't been that committed to that point. You can give somebody else a run and still have another division for your top tier talents to participate in the meantime. You give them something else to do that isn't just I don't know, extra. You know what I mean? It isn't a curtain jerker. It isn't, like a pre-show, that kind of thing. Now you have women's tag matches that are going to actually be booked on the pay-per-views as proper, like, long-term investments. And I think that that's can only be good for AEW. At first, I got to say I was a little worried about them finding enough TV time to do this. But see, that's the thing. Now you don't have to have singles matches with the AEW, Women's World Champion every week and just like repeating that every week. Now you have a reason for tags for more people in the match, and I think that that's going to go well for AEW if they do it right. Keep in mind, we've seen other promotions try this stuff. It doesn't usually work. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. This exact same thing has not been done very well in North America yet. I think AEW, though, I think that they're in step enough with other places abroad that do this stuff better. That they keep it going longer and keep it relevant on their show. And I think they're going to be looking at those places to really draw inspiration from, because they certainly can't be looking at any other contemporaries in North America.
No.
AEW is going to have to really book this division. They're going to have to make it their own. They're going to have to this is going to be something that they're going to have to contribute to North American wrestling with. But I think it looks good. I feel good about it. And I know Joshi G feels good about it. So yeah, I really enjoyed this episode of Dynamite. And yeah, man, it's going to get a lot of them over. It's going to get a lot of them over really quickly. Much like we've been seeing lately with Tekla and the likes. Yeah. And that faction especially, man. This is the perfect opportunity for the other two.
Well, that's what I was going to say. This is great for Sky Blue and Julia Hart. Another example of an established tag team. And what's so great about this faction and this opportunity is that, personally, I don't think Tekla needs to be involved in the women's tag team division. She's a singles wrestler. She can challenge Mercedes. She can challenge Kris. She can win the belt in a few months for all I care.
She can't beat Mercedes now, though. No, they're not going to let anyone beat Mercedes now. The Mercedes is going to, as long as she has all of those belts, I think the TBS title will be the last one that she loses, honestly. But
That's
I could
a
be
good
wrong.
point. It's possible. No, I mean, I don't know what their plan is. I was thinking maybe she would lose the belt after she beats Jade Cargill's record, but yeah, you're right. Maybe she has to start, losing the other belts first, and then she loses a TBS belt last. I don't know. Like, maybe that's in the works. I have no idea. Kris doesn't have to have a title reign that long, and obviously I don't want it to be like 2 months. I would like her to be champion for a while. Yeah. But I mean, if Tekla wins it sometime next year, like in February or whatever, I think that would be cool. But yeah, like, I don't think she needs to be part of I don't think that every single female wrestler needs to be part of the women's tag team division. Right.
Right.
But like, yeah, like obviously if you're not using certain women, they're not doing anything, put them together in a tag team and have them freaking challenge for the tag belts. I mean, this is a great opportunity. I don't know if it's going to happen to bring Britt Baker back, if that's still something that they're considering. I really don't know at this point. But let's say if they don't have plans for Jamie Hayter, put her with Alex Windsor. Toni Storm, put her in the tag division. I mean, this is a just great way to get women that aren't really being featured regularly, like Deonna Purrazzo, Shida, or Yuka Sakazaki, Riho. It's great for them to be able to be on TV and not only challenge for the singles belt. So hopefully, though, I do agree with Joshi J. That was my main concern about women's tag belts. I thought, you know what? Is Tony actually going to give the woman more time? It's like, yes, I would love women's tag belts, but he really would have to make sure that they're treated as important. And like he said, in North America, unfortunately, they haven't done a good job with that. So that was my main concern as well.
Not consistently.
Well, I think it's a matter of you need to normalize the concept of women's tag team wrestling really as like an attraction that you come to shows to see. And WWE to this point really hasn't done that. They've had a few times, I think, where one person or, one team or another kind of catches fire for a minute.
Yeah.
And then whoever they lose it to just kind of is forgotten about shortly thereafter. And
right.
I haven't seen personally a ton of that, but I never hear about who's the tag champs in W. I have no idea. And I would say the same for the men. I don't hear about them either.
But another good example is TNA. They tried with the women's tag belts as well. And it was just, okay, we have them, took the freaking women's tag team division very seriously, brought them back, So we just, it's true that it hasn't looked good in North America, not just WWE, but even other promotions, unless it's an all-women's promotion, or if you're looking at Japan, like Stardom, All Japan Women's Wrestling, that's different. So my hope is that, I'm very happy about this news. It's awesome. I just really hope that they dedicate enough time to the women's tag team division. And you know what? I don't think Tony has a choice. Let's hope for the best.
I think he's under the gun in a different way than the other promotions were, honestly. I think that, I think he was careful about when he made this announcement, because in doing so, he's setting some expectations that you definitely do not want to piss off the people who are excited. So he knew that people would be excited, and he knows he's going to have to follow through. I am also looking at the rehabilitation of the men's tag team division right now and seeing all the new teams or reformed teams that were popular before. I think tag team wrestling is going to be taking on more importance in AEW going forward, hopefully. And we're actually going to be talking about that when we come back. But all in all, huge night for women's wrestling in AEW. I'm stoked. We got to make sure they follow through, but I think they're going to. I feel cautiously optimistic. I think we all do. I'm going to hit the music. When we come back, we're going to have some quick hits. Then we're getting the fuck out of here. By the way, I got to say it's been liberating to accept my role as an amazing DJ on this show. Now that I'm not relying on my imaginary friend Gerald to be the DJ anymore, it's been pretty liberating. Joshi G, I have noticed you really haven't said anything about the music lately, though.
I told you I really like the music. I'm a big fan of it. It makes me very happy.
Okay. All right.
Now, having said that,
you could have said it more, I guess is what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, you could have talked about Don Callis more.
Yeah, no, I think that's the thing for me, though, is like while you were talking about the Don Callis thing, I started to feel miffed about the lack of praise for my DJ work.
Oh, here we go. All right.
Yeah.
I Blade, you are the best DJ in the world.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You didn't have to say
anybody,
that.
Well, I said it. I don't think anybody is better than you. Nobody could fill your shoes.
Except Don Callis.
Except maybe Uncle Don.
Yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that. I mean, Uncle Don, yeah. I'm sure he's very good at whatever it is he's doing.
So unfortunately, I am losing my voice. So I will have to log off here, but don't worry, Sickos, I'll be back, and I'm really happy about the woman. All the woman stuff made me very happy this week. And please continue to love and respect my Uncle Don. If you don't, well, trouble's coming your way. Trouble's coming your way. Sorry.
He's the man.
So please show some respect. He cares about all of us. Thank you very much.
Cares about all of us. I think that says it all, really, Joshi J, don't you?
No, Don's the man, let me tell you. I mean, I still haven't seen him, but I'm sure when I do, I'm going to love him, man. We're going to have a lot to talk about.
Because you and Joshi G, you've only been together a short time, only 16 years, right? 15, 16 years, something like that?
Yeah, the blink of an eye, something like that, yeah.
Totally. I mean, it makes sense that you may not have met him yet. Even though you live around the entire rest of her family.
Oh, yeah, Vito, as in Peters, Paulie's, all of them. We get along great. But Don, I mean, he must be an extended relative. Doesn't sound... Maybe it's short for Donatello, I think, yeah? Yeah, that's what it is. Donatello Callis. That's where that comes from. That's what... Okay, a lot makes sense now.
Yeah, and Callis, definitely Italian. That's an Italian name. I mean, But who else has an Italian name that was on Dynamite, Joshi J, that I thought we need a lot more of this guy is Lee Moriarty.
So not Claudio Casagnoli. Okay, no, Lee Moriarty.
I would say that's a more traditionally Italian sounding name for sure. But Lee Moriarty, honestly, that Moriarty could be anything. I mean, that could be from anywhere.
Yeah.
Well, Lee is the ROH Pure champion, and he's been a damn good one. He's had some great matches. The match with Blue Panther recently was exceptional. He had 2 matches with Blue Panther, and one was in CMLL and one was at an ROH show. He defeated Nigel McGuinness earlier this year in a fantastic match.
I mean, as much as I love Nigel McGuinness, I mean, the thing with Blue Panther had to be the highlight of that man's life so far. I mean, my God. I mean, it's just, I couldn't even believe I was watching, Blue Panther. We're in 2025, dude. And Blue Panther is still going haunted, man. I couldn't get enough. I really enjoyed what I'm seeing from Lee Moriarty right now, and he's a real treat for the committed AEW fan. That goes deep into the AEW world. It's all over the Dynamite and Collision. It gets on the ROH. You get to that level, you're really scraping at the bottom of freaking AEW's universe. You're going the full distance for it, and you're rewarded with somebody like Lee Moriarty, because he's got the qualities of, a lot of guys that you really, really like, that you see on AEW flagship programming, more kind of like Hechicero. I mean, but also like people like Zack Sabre Jr. from NJPW. He's got the kind of catch-as-catch-can, style set. And it's a real treat for people that go the distance to follow him. That's why he's kind of almost like a secret character on a fighting game that is like a fan favorite that turns around, like Smoke on Mortal Kombat or Noob Saibot or some shit. He's got that kind of energy. He's the kind of guy that can knock off a top tier talent and it wouldn't even fucking surprise you because he's good. But I mean, for me, he is a complete he's a complete treat whenever they showcase him on AEW TV, and it was really cool to see him get the rub in his hometown of Pittsburgh on Dynamite. And I don't think anyone really expected him to win, but still,
no,
he showed out, man. He showed this technical expertise, the kind of stuff that you see in that's becoming, I think, increasingly popular lately. That particular style. And I think it's in large part due to people like Zack Sabre Jr. They're they see the way people bend and stuff. It kind of reminds them of MMA but it's even more, it's freakier, you know? It's like you see the body contorted in ways that they shouldn't be, you know, contorted, whatever, you know? I mean, to me, I mean, I think that I think that he's got a lot of potential in AEW that he's already really demonstrated on ROH TV time and time again as a reigning ROH Pure champion. And Pittsburgh crowd certainly fucking loved him. I loved him. And I don't know. What'd you think, Upland?
I just thought it was great to see him get an opportunity to be in a featured match that got a lot of time with Hangman Page, who, you know, I said this about Stat earlier, is Hangman is playing that Ric Flair world champion role of give the guy everything, make him look credible, make him look like, wow, for a second there, I thought he had him, you know, and that does so much for Lee Moriarty. It makes him more dangerous in ROH.
That near
when he's
fall, that near fall is so loud. It screams so loud. They're like, you know, if it was Thursday, he might have actually beat him. That kind of mentality. You're right. 100%.
Yeah, and Moriarty, you know, the match was like the second match of the show. We know he's not winning the world title, you know, but for Hangman to have as good a match as they had and for Lee to look as good as he did and really look credible, they got to pounce on this now. Get him on the shows more. And really, honestly, I love Shane Taylor Promotions. I would just love to see them more. They're a lot of fun. And Shane's a great mouthpiece for a guy like Lee.
Yeah.
Lee has grown so much as an entertainer since he's been in AEW. He has really grown up quite a lot as an entertainer. But, you know, I'm not sure that promos are still probably his biggest weak spot. Because he's got the skills, you know, just like Zack Sabre Jr. has made technical wrestling like entertaining, even to like a casual person, because the shit he's doing is so wild. It's just like, what the fuck is he doing now? Like, Lee has that same type of thing, but Zack is a great promo, and Lee's still working on that part of his game. But he's young. He's, you know, I just want to see him on AEW programming more, because I think that's all he really needs. It's just more exposure. He's in that same Wheeler Yuta, Daniel Garcia kind of class of performer, and he's not on the shows the way they are. And I want to see more of that.
He's a little bit under mid card. He's like not quite the lowest of the low card, but he's somewhere between there and mid card. You know, yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah, but he did look excellent in defeat. Yeah,
yeah. You know what you're saying is that he came out there. The most you would expect is for him to look convincing against Hangman Adam Page, and he certainly did that. And I don't think anyone would dispute that. No one would watch that match and think that he got outclassed by Hangman. I mean, au contraire. I mean, he was fantastic. I don't think that could have gone any better for him, especially in his hometown, you know?
Right. Well, and I think, you know, it kind of reminds me that pro wrestling has really gotten away from what the role of a world champion used to be, which is what we were talking about, is like you make people look believable, then you beat them, which is what Hangman's been doing, right? Is he doesn't just get in there and kill people. He like has a good competitive match with them, and then he narrowly escapes with the belt. And he's a baby face of all things too. Whereas, you know, in North America, particularly, really since maybe like the Attitude Era, you know, being the champion is just like you're on TV a little more, but there's really no difference in the way you wrestle. There's really no difference. And I like that AEW is kind of like, hey, it takes a certain kind of person to be the world champion. You can't just put anybody in that role. Having the belt doesn't necessarily make you the champion. You know, it's like they have to put the belt on the right person. And that's why, you know, Stat winning it was such a big deal. It's like a ringing endorsement of how the company sees you. And I don't think it's that way in a lot of promotions anymore.
No, certainly not.
They just do a title change to get people buzzing or talking about something, you know?
Yeah, they get some clicks, get some a 0.01 boost in ratings. I don't know. Yeah, but you're right. I mean, whenever the same technique is applied, right, you get much more extraordinary results. And I think that's what's going on for sure.
100%. I would love to interpret this as like, hey, you're going to see more from this guy, and that's what I hope we get.
Exact.
Hangman wasn't the only guy defending a title on this show, though, Joshi J. Now, everybody who listens to this show definitely knows that Bandito is my wrestle son, okay? Like, I have an affinity for this performer that he has validated all of my belief in him to a ridiculous degree this year. His matches with Hechicero, with Takeshita, with Mascara Dorada have all been just incredible. His match with Mystico in CMLL was fucking fantastic. This guy has just been on a roll, but when they put him with Brody King and called them Brodido, that kind of sounds like a 2010 WWE tag name, right? Where they did that thing where they're always mixing people's names together.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's better though, because at least these two belong. They look like they belong together. Like they do. They do. They're not the same size, you know.
Nope.
They're not. They don't even speak the same language. But I mean,
right?
They are a item. They're an item, man. Like that. That is a good damn looking tag team, bro. For real.
And when they were put together, it was in the context of that tag tournament, and it felt like, do they just not have enough like normal tag teams to fill this out? Like they're going to lose, right? And when they wrestled the Bucks in the tag tournament, you're like, okay, they're definitely losing. I felt exactly the same way that we were just talking about feeling like Lee Moriarty, where it's like they're going to look great, they're going to have a fun match with the Bucks, but they're going to lose. And then they beat the Bucks.
Mm-hmm.
Clean as a whistle, you know, and looked great doing it. And you're like, wow, that was really spectacular. Maybe they'll stay a tag team a little longer, but they're still not going to win the tag titles. You know, like they're not going to beat FTR and the Hurt Syndicate. Knowing that FTR is building up to this match with Christian and Copeland, you're like, FTR is going to win the titles in this three-way match, and it'll be a way to not pin the Hurt Syndicate, and they'll pin Bandito or something like that, and then they'll wrestle for the tag titles. And it was just an epic case of misdirection that Tony pulled with this booking. Brodido fucking wins the tag titles, which shocked the shit out of me.
And then you kind of feel silly after, you know? You're like, seriously? I wasn't convinced by Bandito and fucking Brody? Or
I know.
You know?
I know. And then they reveal these dudes are really good friends in real life, that they've been working together forever, you know, not as a tag team, but like just in the same promotions, you know, around the same times. They've gone to, you know, Japan together. They've done all kinds of stuff together. They were in Ring of Honor together when Bandito was world champion there before Tony bought it. And you were touching on the dynamic about the size. I loved in this match, particularly, their opponent is the GOA. Toa Leona is like, no, give me Brody. I want Brody, because they're the two big men from their team. And Bandito's like, no, take me in. I want to take him. He's being that like annoying little brother almost, where he's like, come on. Yeah. And Brody finally tags him in, and Bandito gets the living shit kicked out of him for quite a while. But later in this match, Bandito press slammed Bishop Khan.
Yeah,
who is not a small man.
No, not by any means. Like, yeah, that was impressive for sure.
That these two together have become one of my favorite teams in AEW. I want to see them versus Jet Speed, because I think that would be just an incredible match. It's hard not to think about who they could lose these titles to, because there's so many interesting teams right now. But I am just enjoying the ride with these guys. And it got me to thinking, little shout out to Mr. Tony Khan, because this guy is great at creating pairings and matchups as well that you've never thought about once in your whole life.
Right.
And then they end up being fucking fantastic. And he's done this with tag teams really consistently. And there's some that really jump out at me. You know, when Kenny Omega and AEW first started, everybody's thinking Kenny could be the first world champion, right? But he's not. And they're telling this story where Kenny has to struggle for a little while to adapt from New Japan. Like, AEW isn't like easy pickings for him just because he's Kenny Omega, right? And Hangman Page loses in the main event of the first All Out and loses his opportunity at the world title. And Kenny and Hangman kind of get thrown together as a makeshift tag team, very similar to Brodido. And then they beat, on the Jericho Cruise, they beat SCU, Scorpio Sky, and Frankie Kazarian, who are the first ever AEW tag team champions. And then they go on this epic title reign where they're like they become a very legit tag team that you look forward to seeing all the time. And in hindsight, it's even more of a legendary team because Hangman's become so great since this team as a character and as you know, a legend, a growing legend in his own right. So that's one example. But you have another example, which is you bring in Keith Lee and Swerve pretty much around the same time. And this was when WWE was on this, you know, kind of pattern of just dropping people, like releasing a ton of people during the pandemic. So they brought these guys in around the same time because I think they got released at the same time. And there's not an immediate spot for them in the singles picture, so they get thrown together as a tag team again. And then they end up being a really, really fun tag team, and they go on a hell of a run, and they win the tag titles. And you look forward to seeing their performance, and, you know, they become a must-see tag team all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm.
And then they drop the titles to another tag team that was kind of a random thrown-together tag team, especially because it happened on Dark. And these guys had been wrestling singles matches and kind of as enhancement talent. And then they got thrown together as a tag team, but they started to kind of pick up a bit of steam, and that was the Acclaimed. People forget. These guys were not a tag team when they started with AEW. Tony put them together, and how right he was to do so. This guy's got a real knack. So my question to you, Joshi J, is of these teams, which are the ones that really stand out to you?
I mean, I'm really enjoying Bandito and Brody right now, to be honest. Yeah. I mean, they just look like the real deal. They have that. Yeah. They have that ability to kill you with speed or power through the air, everything. Mm-hmm. Like they cover everything. Mm-hmm. But I mean, of the ones you mentioned, honestly, the Acclaimed are just. I mean, they've become such a staple of AEW's tag division. I don't think that their singles runs are gonna last much longer. I just don't see it happening. I think both of them, kind of like the Lucha Express that we recently saw reunited, I think that was one of those things that may have been better off as a tag team. I don't know. I mean, personally, of all the AEW tag teams since day one, I don't know, Jungle Express, Lucha Express. I really like the Tarzan Man thing, dude. I mean, that was like something I hadn't heard in like 30 years before I heard it in AEW. Right. They're always gonna have a space in my heart, Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, because I really thought that was a unique looking tag team. Yeah. The Acclaimed have that New Age Outlaws type of presence that, just like both of them, I mean, both of them were better suited for tag teams their entire career. Billy Gunn, mind you, could do it with other freaking partners, but it's still the same. I mean, you have some people that I think are just more cut off for tag team divisions, but with Brody and Bandito, as much as I'm enjoying this run, I think both of these guys would be fine as singles competitors.
You could go either way. Yeah. I really think after All Out, it's safe to say that 2025 has been, for me, the most creatively satisfying year in AEW's history, where it feels like all the pieces have come together. The storytelling, AEW has their own way of telling stories now that borrows from like a million different places, but it's not a direct copy of any of them. You know, you can see the influence of ECW and AEW. You can see the influence of WCW, old WWE. You can see New Japan. You can see a little bit of Noah, a little bit of a lot of things in AEW storytelling. But all of the things that people might have complained about before, like the results are too predictable, all of that stuff, that was being said like a year ago. They have flipped that on its head. When we do these prediction shows, I just start them the same way every time. Like, I'm a fucking idiot. I have no idea what's going to happen, and I'm always wrong. And you know what? It's fun to get worked because the outcome still makes sense. It's not a swerve for a swerve's sake, but they make sense and they go somewhere. I feel like they proved that they could tell that long-term company-wide story with the Death Riders. I didn't have that faith when they started this storyline, and so I picked at it. But they have my faith now, the next time they do one of these, I'm like, well, they pulled off the Death Riders. So, it's going to be really interesting to see if the Death Riders resolve with this Darby Mox thing, or if somehow it continues. I don't think Moxley will probably be associated with it anymore, or he'll be gone for a while, because I think Darby's about to destroy him. But, it's accomplished what it needed to, which is to get people over. He's gotten Darby more over. He's gotten Orange Cassidy more over. He's gotten Willow more over. He's gotten Kris Statlander more over by them, squaring them up with Marina, and a lot of these day one talents have continued to grow through the Death Riders. And Daniel Garcia has heat again, and he was just this heatless guy who was just kind of there for a while. I would compare it to like the Devil angle, which wasn't as good a story, but was just cursed, with Adam Cole getting hurt, and it just fell apart. And, it was hard to have faith that they could pull that off. They've continued an incredible streak of pay-per-views all year long. AEW is the safest pay-per-view buy you're going to make in the wrestling business, I feel, because you're going to get wall-to-wall great matches. You might get some cool story developments, but you're going to see the best wrestling in North America that there is.
And it is never boring. Never.
Never. No. And it's going to be a supersized helping of it. So, it depends on how much wrestling you want to watch, I guess. But, I'm never going to complain about getting a 5-hour show. I'm into it, Also, I live on the West Coast, so it's not that big of a deal. No matter when it's on.
You live in the future.
Yes. Yeah. Well, you live in the future. I live in the past, bro.
Whenever you have to... Do you still get the West Coast stations? Does that still come in a package and cable TV out there? So whenever you want to, if you want to watch, I think it does. At the same time we do, you have to get like a totally different package. Or you have to wait 3 hours or something like that.
I think if you have cable, I haven't had cable in like 15 years, but I think.
Amen.
Yeah, no, fuck cable, man. But I think, it starts at 8 p.m. if you're watching on TNT on the West Coast. So it's like a replay. Like Nitro, like back during the Attitude Era, they hadn't started that yet. So like I would watch Nitro at 5 p.m. and it would be ending right as Raw started. And so I didn't have to choose between the two shows. I could watch them both back to back. But
that's a good deal.
Yeah, it was a good deal. It was a good deal. But, the other thing that I notice a lot of is the character stories that weave in and out of other character stories. And they're kind of involved for a minute and then they're not. And so that leads to that unpredictability that you just don't know where things are going to land necessarily. If you told me at the beginning of that tag tournament it's going to end with Bandito and Brody as the tag champs, I'd have been like, what? You're out of your fucking mind. Like, what are you talking about?
You're right. They've certainly improved on making things a little less predictable. And they've been turning a corner with that. The last thing that they really need to work on, the only thing that they've been short on in 2025 is the freaking injuries, man. Like a lot of people are getting hurt this year. And to be honest, if you're going to fault AEW for anything in 2025, the worst you could say is, man, these guys could take better care of themselves, and you wouldn't be wrong. Like, believe me, you wouldn't be wrong. I don't like the fact that we're probably not gonna see Swerve the rest of the year.
Yeah.
And Omega now too is kind of like banged a little. I don't think it's quite as bad, and then you have Osprey. It's just like, man, dude, I just want when Pac that's why when Pac came back, I just held my breath. You know, it's just like, oh my God, don't you get hurt again too? Because Pac, he's been one of the most banged up wrestlers historically. Historically, bro. I mean, ever since day one in AEW, I just wish the AEW guys could still put on these amazing matches that they're known for, but still like be able to, do it without sacrificing their health for Dave Meltzer stars. I would like them to find a way to kind of get the best of both worlds. Maybe I shouldn't complain too much because I do enjoy the wrestling, man. I do enjoy the wrestling, but damn, man.
I think it's a couple of things. Like, I think with Pac, it's like, this is a guy who was not trained in the conventional sense for a while, and he was on the indies just doing his shit, didn't know really how to safely do a lot of the things, Now he's one of the, like, I know Kenny Omega has said, like, Pac is one of the most, like, proficient wrestlers there is. Like, he does everything exactly right. Like, in a way that Kenny was saying is kind of unnatural almost. Like his form is perfect on almost everything he does. But, like, this is a guy who is a backyard wrestler who kind of just did it by himself. Then he's on the indies, then he's in WWE, and then he's in AEW, and his body's kind of breaking down on him at a younger age because he's got such a crazy style.
Yeah.
But I think these guys that you see come from New Japan as well. Look at Kenny Omega. Like, he's been injured half the time he's been in AEW. You got Will Ospreay, was eventually the wheels were going to fall off there.
And Jay White.
Jay White as well.
Also out on injury right now. Yeah. And it just came, his Juice Robinson came back.
I know.
It's like, come on, man.
And so you have, these very physical styles. AEW is very physical, and so is New Japan. And I think when your talent comes from New Japan, you've got to accept they have miles on their body, and that's going to play a factor in what you see from them going forward. I think I've had to accept that, is like, these guys are probably going to get pretty banged up, but, the good thing about AEW is the roster is so loaded that you said it yourself. You've got Kenny Omega out, you've got Will Ospreay out, you've got Swerve out, you've got Britt Baker out. I'm not sure if she's ever coming back, to be honest with you. You've got Adam Cole out, who may never come back. You've got a lot of people out, and they still have enough top-tier talent to put on these amazing dynamites and put on these amazing shows and tell great stories. So, the depth in AEW is unlike anything I've ever seen before. And that is truly special. But Joshi J, my man, it's so good to have you back. It's time to call this one a wrap, my brother. But we will have you back again very soon. Until next time, I'm Blade Daly.
I'm Joshi J.
Pro Wrestling Forever.
Sickos Club.